All right, what's going on? What's going on? Peace and blessings, everyone. It is Legacy Builders in the building. It is Mr. Life. Also here with Ra, the real estate guy. We're gonna talk a little bit about whether our pockets. We're gonna go right, and we're not gonna waste any time. Let's talk about it. Let's go in. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, man. With our pockets, man, it's crazy. Because the weather actually impacts our pockets at the end of the day. The weather make a difference. Just the other day, last week, there was a flood out here in New Jersey, and the whole streets are flooded. So a lot of cars underwater. So we know what that means. Everybody insurance premiums is going up. You're gonna get that call at renewal, like, hey, we had to raise our increase for 5% because all the weather things that happen, we have to increase the insurance rates. So it's really crazy because a lot of people don't realize where you live at and the weather can affect what costs you. For example, if you live in California with the wildfires and all that type of stuff, houses burning down. At the end of the day, you got to rebuild your whole entire house, or God forbid you don't have insurance. So it's kind of crazy how people don't realize the weather around them actually impacts their pockets.
So I mean, in regards to insurance, right? So as far as the rates or the premiums and things like that, does will that increase because of what's going on with the weather?
Absolutely, all the time. Matter of fact, insurance that they said an increase of like 20% across the nation. So all those wildfires, natural disasters, whenever it's like raining heavy, no matter where you're at, all those things impact at the end of the day your premiums. And even on a basic level in terms of weather, if you live in the Northeast, wintertime, what you got to do, you got to put on your snow tires or make sure you have all season tires. You got to have your salt, for shoveling snow. You got to buy the shovel. Like a lot of people don't realize where you live at impacts how much you're spending and what you're spending money on. Like the weather literally dictates how you spend your money.
Yeah, because I mean, I think for me it's like you got to pick your poison, right? Because the weather changes everywhere, right? You living in New York or the northeastern region, you got all your seasons. You got your winter, summer, spring, fall. So it varies, right? You living in California, like you said, they have to deal with those forest fires. It's always hot all the time, but they got to deal with earthquakes too. You get what I'm saying? So, but if you live down south, you may have to deal with some hurricanes or some floods. So it's like depending on where you're at, you're gonna have to deal with different things when it comes to the weather, and ultimately it's going to affect your pockets regardless. So you got to, I guess, like find that common medium, or you got to figure out what you're going to tolerate and what you can stomach, what you feel like you and your family that you can go through with your family in regards to the things that's going to have to happen based off of where you're living, your location, your region, based off of that weather, right? So, and naturally, it's going to cost you more regardless. What's going to cost regardless just for the basic weather change. But you got to be prepared for that, and then you also got to think about it from this perspective too. What if you moved, right? What if you work in a certain location to where you physically go to work, and excuse me, noise in the background. What if you physically go to work and you have to, how can I say it? You have to pay. You have to basically how am I trying to say it? Damn. So it's like you go to work, you work in a certain location, and because you physically go to work, now you're forced to stay in that area. But what if there is a flood? What if there is a natural disaster that happens? How do you leave that area? How do you just pick up and go if you have to? What if your house gets flooded? What if some because of a natural disaster? How do you continue living on in that scenario? I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, one you call us so we can work out a financial plan on how to budget. That's the first thing you go to the website. No, but it's crazy. What's crazy about it is that weather impacts how people live and it pockets so much we don't even realize it. Think about it. You could kind of actually tell not how much money a person got, but a guide of their pockets based off of the weather and the season. Meaning in the summer times growing up in New York, remember back in the day, you go over your friend's house and they got the babies on with no t-shirts on.
Yeah.
And the reason because of that is that it's so hot outside that they might not be able to afford the AC. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a real thing, and that can dictate it because it's a real thing. Wherein is you might go to somebody else's house and they got the AC blasting, so even though it's hot outside, it doesn't matter. But even in that situation, you can see the difference. and it costs money because guess what? It's 4 seasons on the East Coast. So in the wintertime, in the summertime, it's hot out. So that means that you got to blast the AC, which means it's going to cost you more money. So maybe a scenario where it's like, listen, you got to walk around here with your shirt off right now. We're not going to be running the AC all day. You may run the AC at nighttime when you go to sleep so you can stay asleep. Like, it's kind of crazy when you think about that type of stuff. I mean, even down to, you know, growing up in New York is always funny with the pool, with the fire hydrant. We didn't have pools back in the day. So everybody on the block had the fire hydrant going.
I used to
that was our sprinkler system.
Listen, I used to be at the fire hydrant all day for hours. I didn't care. Like I was cleaning it all the time. But that's a real thing though. That's a real thing. You know, some real hood memories. So then, like even like when you think about food, right? Food, agriculture. You know, how do we get our food in our local markets? Right? It's through the trucks, right? Through the transportation services that company provides. And then what happens if we have floods and them trucks can't get past a certain point? What's going to happen to your local market? The food that is there, they're gonna increase the price on that food. Why is that? Because supply and demand. They're going to have a shortage in deliveries. So the food that they do have in stock, they're gonna have to increase that price just to, you know, equal out or equate to the dollar that they're gonna lose based off of the less trips that truck can make to that local
that's a serious thing to your point. You know, I go back to that example I gave before the other couple weeks ago when it was a flood out in Jersey with the rain coming down. Pretty much all the surrounding towns were flooded out, so people couldn't travel for about a whole day, pretty much. And like you said, the food costs more money. And remember, with groceries and stuff like that and produce, they spoil faster. So that delivery that can't be made a day or two, that means it spoils a lot faster. So it's going to cost everybody money. Yep. So literally, to your point, when it comes to the weather, it's crazy how it impacts our life. And we don't even realize it on a daily basis, how that can impact our life. I mean you know, like you said, it's snow season.
Right. We just used to it. I mean, and it is what it is. We just used to it day by day. We just live our lives and we don't realize how, you know, the season can change, you know, what we do and how it affects our pockets. You know, from a different perspective, think about it like this. Imagine when some of those houses flood, right? Imagine you being in the house for like 15, almost 20 years. This is your home. You done probably paid off maybe about 60, 70% of the home. And then you just get hit with a flooded disaster, right? It floods the house and it deteriorates the home, you know. And what if insurance doesn't cover it all? Even let's say if it does, let's just say if it covers a certain percentage or a certain portion of the damages that was done to the home, you know, what happens to that family? What if you like in your mid 50s going into your 60s, you're a little bit older, you want to relax, and now you got this stress from what just happened to your home that you've been paying off for the past 20 years, and now you got to deal with that. You know, what's going to go up? The increase of, you know, healthcare. You know, your medical bills is probably going to go up. Why? Because now you're stressed out. Probably going to get you more sick based off of the damages that was done to the home. Now you got to go to the doctor more frequently. And what's going to happen? Those bills, those doctor bills are going to rack up because of, you know, these natural disasters. So people don't realize that Mother Nature always has the first and last say so on everything that goes on. And I feel like we, as humans, we take that for granted. And because we live our day to day, especially when you live in a city, versus you living like in a more in a country life, you kind of don't. Everything is masked. Everything is kind of covered up. Everything is just a day-to-day kind of thing. And you don't realize how important the weather is. And you just like bypassed it. And, you know, people in the country, they kind of get a better perspective of life and seeing the day-to-day when it comes to nature because they're in the country, right? So just from those two dynamics, I used to live in Florida versus me living here in New York. And it's two different completely settings. You know, I'm more in tune with nature in Florida, so I'm able to experience the weather on a higher level versus here in New York. You know, I get on the seasons, but everything is just a hustle and bustle. Everything's going on so fast. Sometimes that gets overlooked, and I kind of bypass that and I'm not even really paying attention to it. I could literally look at my phone and say, okay, it's going to be the temperature today, and I just keep going on about my day, not really actually going through the process of it. You get what I'm saying? So it's just different, and we sometimes take that for granted.
No, you ain't lying, man. Yeah, like you said, you know, the weather really dictates how we live our lives. You know, so much so. You know, think about to the point you made earlier on, where God forbid, you know, you have a house and you live in paycheck to paycheck, right? And you did not get a chance to pay, you know, your house insurance this month or your car insurance this month. And imagine it's wintertime and you drive in your car and your car insurance is off and it happens to be snowing outside and you happen to get in an accident. Like, and now you don't have insurance to fix your car. That's the reason why you see so many people, even in the city, driving around with damages still on their car. Because one, they either didn't have insurance and it could have lapsed, or, you know, they couldn't afford their deductible. So it's crazy how weather plays a part in everyday life, and we don't even realize how much so. You know what I mean? Even the rain situation, sliding somewhere and crashing into a wall or a median or getting into an accident.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, it's crazy, like how we don't realize how the weather plays a role.
When it's snowing, especially like we live up north, and you know how it is in the northeastern region when it comes to the snow, especially, you know, in the wintertime, you know, the slipping and sliding, you know, there's so many accidents that happen, you know, during the wintertime. You know, once again, your car crashes, you get into an accident, your insurance premiums go up, you know, and there's something that's beyond your control. There's nothing that you really can technically do about that. You get what I'm saying?
And true, the funny thing about it is crazy because, you know, you look at different parts of your life, different times in your life. And, you know, the quick example I like to give that, you know, it's serious. And that's why having your finances in order, having your credit in order, all that type of stuff is important because of emergency situations. Why? Because I look back when I was maybe in my mid-20s, and I remember I had a Subaru, or whatever the case is. Got it for a great deal, paid cash for it.
You say it's Subaru?
Yeah, Subaru. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, God.
Got it for a great deal, or whatever the case was. And shortly thereafter, when I bought it, I had enough to buy it, but I didn't have enough to buy tires, right? And no lie, them tires was balder than your bald head right now. Pause.
Listen,
you know what I mean?
My joint Kino. You feel me? My joint Kino.
The crazy part about it is that I remember it was raining out. It was raining out, whatever the case was. And like I said, them tires was bald, man. Bald. And I'm driving. And mind you, I didn't have the money getting new tires. So I'm driving and I hit it. I'm on the highway going like 50 miles an hour, not going fast, but a slight curve. Tell me how I 360 totaled out my car. All because it rained, you know what I mean? And the road was a little slick and my tires was bald. But it goes back to money, you know, because we deal with money. And it's really one of those things where I was like, all right, I had $2,500 to buy the car, but I was like, let me wait and get the tires. So I was trying to be responsible, but really the real responsible thing was I should have stayed home, but I didn't. I kept driving, trying to take the risk, and figured I'd get to it when I could financially get to it. But that's why it'd be important, man, to make sure you have your finances in order because things like that happen. I totaled up my car. Then, of course, my insurance premium went up naturally. Had no car. Had to bust it for about 2-3 months so I could get back on my foot. So it ended up costing me even more money and then having to finance another car, you know, when my credit wasn't that great at that time, which put me in a high interest rate. And that's crazy how the weather impacted everything I did and my decision making, because I was poor decision making. Let's not lie here. That was stupid of me. You drive around with extra ball tires. But and that was just risking my life. Even with the life insurance piece. If I would have passed away at that time, I definitely didn't have life insurance. So it's crazy how all this stuff is interconnected all the time.
No, absolutely, 100%. And that's why it's important for people to have an emergency fund, maybe 3 to 6 months worth of monthly expenses saved up. And the reality situation is because we can't control the weather, because there's so many different things that's unpredictable, we have to put away money for these things, you know? And the truth is most people don't do it. It's tough. I get it. It's tough. Everybody, for the most part, is check to check. So it's tough. Here's a nice little formula if anybody out there that's listening. You must live off of 70% of your income. You must live off of 70% of your income. That other 30% can get allocated different ways. You know, at least 10% should be saving, right? Another 10% should be going towards any type of investments. And your investments should be based off of your age. The older you are, the less you should be investing, and the younger you are, the higher the risk you should take, because you could always bounce back, in my opinion, right? Lastly, whatever's left over, maybe that other 10% could be miscellaneous. whether you want to donate to some cause, because money is energy. Whatever you put into the world is going to come right back 10 times fold. So that's how you should be doing it. But the point is that it should never be a scenario where you have nothing. And a lot of times we just live our life based off of today and not tomorrow. And so that's the reason why a lot of people go through what we go through. We have to take those risks because being out of choice, we put ourselves in a position to actually have a cushion. And a lot of times that the weather is reminding us of is that you must have that cushion, because at any point in time, it's sunny right now. I could look out my window right now. It's sunny at what time? At 7:30 in the evening. It's still sunny outside, right? The birds not chirping, but it's beautiful outside right now. But things can change at any minute. The clouds could come. It could be a storm out here. The temperature could drop. Just 2 weeks ago, it was like 90-something degrees. Now, like a small taste of fall just came back out of nowhere. So, a lot of things can happen just like that. And just how Mother Nature is, you got to equate that with your pockets and your spending and your saving. You got to be very aware, very conscious of what you do with your money.
Yeah. And Tawana says so true. Shout out to Tawana joining in the chat.
Word.
What's going on, business partner? But it's crazy though, because at the end of the day, when it comes to all that, like, my question for you is, what do you tell people that think they can't afford to do that? Because that sounded nice.
Yeah.
You tell people that feel like they can't afford that 30%, they can't put away that 30%.
What's important?
What do you tell people with that?
First thing I tell them is what's important to you. And the reason why I ask that question is because it's not true in the sense of person can't afford it. That's lies. The reason why is because everybody makes money. What are you doing with your money? That's the real question. Because I've seen people who make $100,000, still live paycheck to paycheck. But I've also seen somebody work at McDonald's and was able to get a home from working at McDonald's. So what are you doing with your money, right? And if you can save, and it's all about the mindset and the concept of saving a certain percentage of your money. If you got 10 cents, if you can't save 10 cents from $1, you're not going to save $10 from $100. You're not going to save $100 from 1,000. You're not going to save 1,000 from 10,000. It's that concept of you just putting away. Most people, exactly, the discipline, right? Most people don't have that. And of course, it's tough. It's not easy to be disciplined with money and how to structure it. That's why you got to, reach out to Legacy Builders and we can help you with that process. But, and with that being said, you have to sacrifice as well. Most people are not willing to sacrifice. They're waiting for their next level of dopamine, that next level of high for them to just feel good. And they think they equate that with spending. And that's why it's tough for people to, hold on to that dollar. But what I would say to them, one, reach out to us so we can connect and we could talk. Two, do little by little. You don't have to do the most at one time. And that's why I said live off a certain percentage and save the rest and invest the rest. So whatever that is, it doesn't matter the amount. Most people are used to, paying everything else and paying themselves last. In this concept and the way that I'm thinking about it, you need to pay yourself first. Once you pay yourself first, you will always have something.
It's crazy that you say that. One, definitely we offer that. We actually have a savings and budgeting section of the business. So we actually offer and teach you how to save and budget for these type of things. So you don't have to guess about it. Just go to the site. You see the number scrolling on the screen and check us out and book an appointment so we can talk about it. But just back to the point, to what you said, a lot of people don't realize how insurance companies make money is pennies on a dollar. Literally, insurance companies considered profitable by every penny they make on a dollar. And to your point earlier on, Kay, what's going on, Leticia? Your point earlier on, Kay, it's one of those things where, as hard as it is, if you save 10 cents out of your dollar, it goes a long ways. That means if you have $10, it's $1. If you have $100, it's $10. If you get $1,000 check, it's $100. All the little pennies add up. And it's so crazy. The example I like to give is, my household, they used to have, the water bottles where they fill up water, the big giant jugs. My family would throw pennies in there, nickels, dimes, and let it fill up.
We still do that. We still do that. We talk about used to. That's happening right now.
And it's real though, because that makes a difference. Because people think that, oh, a little $5 here, a little $2. It's not, but it adds up over time.
100%.
Think about it. If you make $50,000 a year and you actually manage to save $5,000 a year, and you make that amount for 3-4 years in a row, that's 15 grand.
Mm.
And there's other ways you could save too. Think about it. A lot of people don't realize there's other ways if you're bad at saving. All right, it's not my thing. I just don't got the discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Have them take out a little money, extra money out of your paycheck to go to your taxes. This way, when it comes refund time, you're getting a lot more money back. Instead of getting back $1,000, now you're getting back $1,700. And now that extra $700 you could put away. It's so many ways to save and budget and all these type of things, and people just don't realize.
Right.
Like, and it's crazy. But the truth is, we're going to help them realize. Go to www.legacybuildersus.com. We'll show you the way and just remind you a lot of these things, because a lot of people are just busy. We got kids. We got work. Some of us going to school and working full time. It feels like it's no time to breathe. And sometimes it isn't. And that's where we come in, where we can help you navigate, should I say, through that particular type of process.
100. And I think most people think that they have to do the most right away. It's about doing the little things consistently. That's the name of the game. Doing the little things consistently. And that's how you would grow as a person. That's how your money would grow as well. And then speaking about different accounts that you can put your money in that will give you better interest on your money so that it can compound. That's what compound interest is all about. How long is it going to take for your money to, double with the, depending on the time frame, right? So it's like T just said, straight baby steps.
Baby steps.
I think people underestimate how powerful a baby step is. Think about it. When the child goes from crawling to walking, they just reached a whole new level in their life. Like, you realize that. Like, people underestimate how important that is. Putting away, back to the origin of the conversation. That's why they even have that expression, putting money away for a rainy day. There's a reason why they have that expression. It's a real thing. It's to the origin. This has to do with the weather somehow, because there's gonna be some hard times that you're gonna come upon, and you have to have a cushion, an exit strategy for that hard time to get through. And that's what it's about, because it's gonna come one way or another. And I think, once again, people are not thinking about the long-term gains. They're just worried about their temporary satisfactions, and that's how we always fall short.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. And just like the topic says, weather your pockets. You got to be able to weather your pockets, meaning that you're going to go through different seasons at the time in your life. So you got to be able to manage your finances and move money around and know how to readjust, just on the basics. Let's think about it. Even a person that lives in a city. If you live in a city and it's convenient, you can jump on a train or a bus and wintertime comes on, but you don't got your boots, you don't got your Timbs, and you walking around in church shoes, you might slip and break your ankle, can't go to work. As simple as that sounds, being able to afford a pair of Timbs. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how we really don't realize how all these stuff impact us on our daily lives. And again, the main thing is just really reaching out to people like us, so where we could just kind of help you navigate this type of thing. Let us do the thinking for you, and you just sit back on cruise control, because it's busy, man. And personally, I wish I had somebody back in my day to show me all the easy routes and all that type of stuff. Let me stop lying. My mother did, but we never listened to our mothers and stuff like that. Now we learning.
Now we learning. Now we listening.
Yeah.
Now we listening.
Like they say, a hard head. If you can't hear, you're gonna feel. That's about the truest statement I ever heard of all time. Tell you the truth. Yeah, man.
So as we come to a close, man, any last minute words, any up and coming events that we have going on? Let's talk to the people and let them know what's going on.
Yeah, man. So we got an event coming up on September 27th, which is going to be in New Jersey. It's going to be vision and vibes and vision. Just go to Eventbrite. You go ahead and go register on Eventbrite and RSVP, DM us, text us, message us if you need tickets. It's $30 tickets. It's going to be drinks, food, entertainment, just talking about money and having fun while talking about money. So it's for anybody that's just struggling. You know what I mean? Anybody that's living paycheck to paycheck. If you need some help, need some guidance, you want to come in a place where we can provide that for you, give you some ideas and stuff like that. In the meantime, you definitely of course, what we do with everything finances. So protecting your life insurance. If you don't have a policy, reach out. Let's go ahead and go over those numbers for you. Make sure we get something to protect your family. You need to get your credit together. Go to the site, book an appointment. You need credit to do these things. Everything money we do. So that's what I leave everybody with on my last piece. What about
yes.
you?
Shout out to T. Yes. Also, just to kind of piggyback off that, bring the kids, man. Any event that we have is super kid friendly. We want to make sure that we let that be known. Legacy Builders here, we are definitely family oriented. So make sure you bring bring out the youths. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be some food for them. You know, some little Capri Suns that they could drink, so they're gonna have a good time as well. You know what I'm saying? Also, with it being said, with life insurance, we're gonna be having a casket ready workshop, right? So that's gonna be happening starting next Monday around this time. That's gonna be promoted out there. Get your life insurance policy. Get casket ready.
Did you say get casket ready?
Casket ready. Yes. Give my people their flowers while they could still smell them. You know what I'm saying? That's how we bring it, this year. In 2025, we want to make sure everybody gets a policy for themselves and their family. We're going to talk about it from the different types of policies to the benefits of having a life insurance policy, why it's important. And we're just going to talk all about it, man. So that's about it on my end. But yeah, let's if you're now seeing this, go ahead and hit that replay button. Make sure you share and like this live. Once again, my name is Mr. Life. We have Real Estate Ron in the building, and we checking out.
Definitely. All right, everybody.